So, the first question is to me, and it says, when your dad's job is baseball, and not just baseball, but the highest levels of it, what did normal look like growing up? Was there a moment when you realized your experience was different from your friends? I was talking to Dom about this earlier, and...
Well, and you don't have to answer these in front of me if you want to answer them by yourself. I mean...
Well, no, I mean, we're doing it right
okay.
now.
Right.
I think normal growing up was, of course, a little different. Dad was always in and out just because of the nature of his profession, and Mom was home. And I realized something was different from my friends was when I would go to the ballpark and I could go up to the players or Mr. K-Line, Al K-Line, and people would freak out because it was Al K-Line and I just knew him as Mr. K-Line. And I didn't think of him as the Tigers player, Hall of Famer. I just knew him as Mr. K-Line. And that's when I realized it was really different. Because I had these experiences and knew these people that other people idolized when they were growing up. To Dad, you spent decades in front offices, stadiums, and clubhouses. How intentional were you about creating a sense of separation between baseball dad and home dad?
Well, I think it's important that you do separate the two, especially around... It's surprising when I say this, but you try not to bring home your work. Not always easy, but you try not to. And somebody gave me an advice, and I'm going to ask Mama, what was the name of the first nanny we had that... JC. So I remember she was the first nanny we had, and we were sitting talking. She was very nice, and she'd been doing this for a long time. And she said, well, are you nervous a little bit? And I said, yeah, I'm nervous because now I'm in a position where we're having children, and I already have a lot to do, and with just me and my wife, we have a lot to do. And her advice was great. She said, well, the one thing I would remember, it's important, not the quantity of time, but the quality of time. So there were many days, I mean, unless it was emergency, I did not work around the children. And then the second thing is I remember there were times that if I had to do work, I would stop on the side of the road before I got home to make phone calls. So when I got home, I wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's surprising about it is that when you have children and they're young, they could care less if you win or lose. So you just automatically are out of it.
Yeah.
That mentality. So all that combination. So yes, I mean, there was a real thought process to try to separate the two of them.
She was our baby nurse.
Yeah,
JC was the baby nurse.
First baby nurse.
To me, and it's cool because she has like a subject line of each question. So this is the soundtrack of childhood. When you think back on your childhood, what comes to mind first? Crowds, radios, late night phone calls, or quiet moments at home after a long road trip? Definitely the quiet moments at home after a long road trip. When Dad would come home from an away series, especially like the long ones that are usually 10 days when he would go to the West Coast, Dad would come home and all of us would have dinner as a family. And then we would watch just our favorite show. So Survivor. And then, I mean, we watched everything growing up. Castle was another one that we loved. What was another one, Mom?
I didn't even know you picked those two. I was thinking Blues and, those kind of Hannah
We walked-
Montana.
Well, yeah, Hannah Montana.
Amazing Race
Amazing Race, yes.
that we watched together, yeah.
Yes. But then also in spring training.
Deal or whatever that was.
Oh, Deal or No Deal.
That's another one, yeah.
But also, when I think back on my childhood, what comes to mind first was spring training in Celebration, Florida. Those were like my core memories as a kid with my brother, with my family, going to Disney, going to Lakeland when Dad was with the Tigers. Like when I think of my childhood, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Lessons beyond the box score. This is for you, Dad. Baseball teaches patience, failure, and long-term thinking. Were those lessons you consciously tried to pass along as a father, or did they simply show up through example?
That's a good question. No, I think that you try to, those things are things that you learn, and there are other things, of course, too. But I think that, and I was an older parent, so it was different. So a lot of life lessons I'd already gone through compared to being a youngster. And so for me, a lot of those things were understood that were important to be for a father or a parent that I had already encountered in my job, but knew that it was important to also bring those same thought processes home. So I'm sure some of it was normal, but there was also a conscious effort to make sure that those things were practiced.
Perfect. Seeing Dad through new eyes. This is for me. Was there a moment, maybe later in life, when you truly understood the weight of your dad's career and what it required of him, both professionally and personally? When I started working in the real world is when I understood the true weight of Dad's job and what it was required of him. As a publicist, I have many clients in many different sectors, but my hardest thing when I was first in my career was being able to shut it off when I came home. And now, of course, I've adopted and I can turn it off, turn my work life off. But it made me appreciate what you touched on earlier, Dad, of when you came home, you were always Dad. Like there was not work, you know. And of course, when we grew up, we didn't have iPhones still. We only had the home phone. So like you truly could unplug. And if someone needed you, they would call the home phone. But that's when I really knew of you have, of course, Mr. Middleton or whoever's your boss who owns the team, but you also have the front office, and then you also have the players and the staff. You just have a lot of people reporting to you, and that's a lot to manage. So yeah, and then personally, you still find a way to reply to everyone, and you have taught me, and I Landon, to, it's always important to respond and know that someone received your message, and you do that professionally and personally with everyone in your life. When people text you, you say thanks, even if you're not responding right away. You just know that you received their message. Okay, so this is for the both of us, and it's about the All-Star game because it's happening in Philly.
Oh, okay.
With the MLB All-Star game coming to Philadelphia this July, tied to America's 250th anniversary, what does it mean to experience a moment like that together as a family or as a part of the game's living history? I'll have you go first just because you're...
Well, I think it's a very exciting time period.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's certain times you remember, and I've been involved with a couple clubs hosting all-star games in the past, and they're very memorable occasions. And this is even more so because you're talking about the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. So it's one of those that you just really look forward. We've done a lot of planning as an organization. I haven't been involved in all of those things. I'm aware of a lot of it, but there'll be a lot of special moments. I'm not even sure, of course, my family's always welcome, but I don't even know if you can come, or I know Mom can come, and I look forward to celebrating those things. So it's a special moment. It'll be a special time, and I know Major League Baseball and our ownership with John Middleton, they'll make it as special as one can imagine.
For sure. I know. I hope we can come if it goes with our schedule.
Yeah, well,
we're in the wedding season. I think it's the same weekend as our friend's wedding in Northern Michigan. But it is a special time when just the city of Philadelphia has a lot going on this year, which is really cool to see, with also the World Cup. So Philadelphia as a chapter dad, this is for you. I really love this question. Philadelphia is a city that takes both baseball and history seriously. As president of baseball operations for the Philadelphia Phillies, how do you feel carrying the responsibility of stewarding a team during such a symbolic year?
Well, I guess I would start off by saying I always think it's important on a yearly basis to represent your organization and be in charge of the individuals. It's a very important responsibility for the organization and from a leadership perspective. I think this year there's probably more focus on what's taken place because of that from a national perspective. So it's inherently, I don't think more pressurized, but maybe more opportunities to look forward to enjoying during the time period would be something. But I think really it's a yearly challenge. No matter if it's the 250th or 249 or 251, whatever it would be. But this year just a little bit special based upon all the extra attention the Phillies and the city of Philadelphia will receive.
I love that. The crowd is going to be insane. So to me, what makes you most proud of your dad today? And it is the same thing you would have said when you were younger. Proud of my dad. Well, I think we've already really touched on it though, was how you, and of course mom, but when you were home and you were present. But you and mom made my brother and I, Landon and I's childhood so magical. And so I'm really thankful and proud that y'all did that for us, just because when I look back on living in Michigan and everything, I'm thankful that's the way that I grew up. What makes me proud is that when I mention you or mom's name, everyone has always nice things to say. And that just knows that you and mom have touched everyone that you've met in every community that you've been in. And even in Nashville here, Dominic and me have only been here for 4 years, but y'all have been here a little longer. But even the people that you know here, everyone just loves y'all. And that just makes me really proud.
Thank you. That's very nice.
A little reflection. Oh, so now it's to you, Dad.
Okay.
What makes you a proud dad about Darbi and your son Landon too? What is something you and your wife, Carrie Ross, instilled in them early on that they have definitely applied to their adult lives?
Well, in some ways, I can answer this a little bit easier because I just thought about this and contemplated it with your wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So when nobody knew that I was actually thinking about giving my speech, I spent a long time looking on things on the internet and making notes and accumulating thought processes. And I joked at the wedding that how proud we are of our 2 children. But Landon is not your day, so you can sit down. But just as proud from both perspectives. I think that the way both of our children have grown up into such, fine individuals, so self-respecting, hardworking, focused, responsible, caring, and empathetic for people and having great friends. And so when you see the responses when you're with your friends from both of you, there's such a warmth. And part of that is the way you embrace your friendships. And so for me, that's something that is something that makes me proud. And yeah, somebody told me this a long time ago when my children were younger, and I didn't really know what they meant, because until you go to experience it, is that what a proud moment when you just see your children be successful in life.
Aw.
And I feel that way with both our children. And when I say this for me, it's not just me when I say this, because really a lot of it was, majority of it was my wife Carrie. I mean, that did that. And I also don't want to throw. We also had I at least want to make mention from childhood. Somebody that was with us that was almost part of our family by the name of Grace, who was, you could call her nanny earlier, and that's what she was. But when she was there, we could both trust her with our children's lives.
Yeah.
And having somebody like that, and so between all of that, that's what really makes me so proud.
Gracie. Okay, this is for both of us. Baseball as a family language. Is baseball something you still talk about casually over dinner on the phone, or has it evolved into a shared shorthand for bigger conversations about life and values?
Well, you go ahead and start this one then.
I mean, of course we're talking about it over dinner or on the phone when things are going on. You know, if I have questions about what's going on with the Phillies, or just a baseball question, or if Landon has something going on with the Mariners. But for the bigger conversations about life and values, yes, but I feel like a lot of it in your early life, that's what we kind of talk about now, is when you first started out with Landon and me, of what you learned then and how we can apply it now, just because we're early on in our careers. And like the importance of having a mentor in the business that you're in, and et cetera, with, like you had with Roland. But the life and values of it, I don't really know. The patience of baseball, that's for sure. But also in the beginning of your career, to never give up, just because there's so many players, and it's such, like any sport, but such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Competitive sport, that like you told Landon to just not give up and just keep going. And he did, and he finally got his job at the Mariners. Like with me with COVID, when I was getting a job during COVID, I was interviewing, and I was getting no after no after no after no. And finally you get that one yes. It just takes that one yes to be able to have the rest of your life set. And I think that's what also baseball teaches you. And then also the failure of it as well. When I was doing pageants when I was younger, you have to fail to be able to learn and adapt to new ways. And that's what the sport teaches you as well.
Yeah, and I would take, like, for example, if we're sitting and we're going to have dinner together, and we talk about life and that, and if it's the four of us, the five of us, the six, whatever it would be in that point now, is that we touch on it, and life's values come from a lot, and the curiosity of what's taken place. And there's so much that's involved, because sometimes it's players that somebody may ask about. Sometimes it's a trade that was made or wasn't made. The criticism that's attached to that, and taking it in stride. But I also find, though, that when we get down to it, that there's so much more we talk about life's values as individuals and relationships that we have that are way beyond just baseball. Mm-hmm. And so it comes up. It's just natural, because there's so much that's involved. But I think we just talk about so much more than just that.
Yeah.
And the successes. But it's funny. I'll just reminisce. I mean, it's like one of the times, I just think, even as a child, when we're talking about it, I remember I was with the Tigers, and just give you, and I remember I used to ask Landon, because he would drive, who's your favorite player? And I remember one time I was with Tiger, he says, Dimitri Young, Dad. And we ended up trading Dimitri Young. And I remember it was like, Dad, you traded Dimitri Young? And then I said, well, who's your favorite player now? He said, Rondell White.
Oh, God.
And in a short while later, we traded Rondell White. And then I remember the third time, I go, okay, we traded Rondell now. Who's your favorite player? And he says, Dad, I'm not telling you anymore. You trade all of our players. You go, and I relate it because I'm thinking tonight when you come over for dinner and we sit down to have dinner together in a very casual fashion, and you said, you got rid of Wes Wilson. So there's just so many things that come involved and all they intermingle in your life, and yet that there's so much more to what we're doing, but it does intermingle your life
for sure
all the time.
And when I went to talk to you when you traded Curtis Granderson.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You would the same thing. You wouldn't talk to
Mom had to tell me on the way to school.
Yeah.
Before it got in the news. But, yeah. Okay, Father's Day reflections. On Father's Day, when the spotlight often shines on the public achievements, what's one small private moment with your dad that defines him best? One of the moments I remember vividly growing up was my last time competing for Miss Michigan's Outstanding Teen. Which is funny, it always fell on Father's Day. But I remember it was a really crazy time with the Tigers. I think there was something going on, but you still made it a point to be there, and which really meant a lot. But when I did not make the top 10, I was absolutely devastated. Of course, when you're 16 years old, as one is, when you work really, really hard. But when Dad hugged me, he said that this doesn't define you. And I still just kind of remember that. And I worked for something so hard for so many years, and I thought I was going to win. And just that one hug and that one moment was just like, okay, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm ready to go. And I went in. All these people came in, so I felt terrible, but I was good to go. I'm like, okay, let's go have a good time.
Well, the only thing I'll laugh when you say that, because you were a lot better than we were at that time. Because I remember we were like, our hearts were broken.
I know.
Like, Mom, it was like, oh my goodness gracious. But I remember that time.
But you just have to take that. I'm like, I'm here with my people that came in for me. I'm devastated. But of course, these people showed up for me. I want to have a good time with them. And then when I'm in private, I can be sad and then move on. Then you have to go to the next thing, and then have a good time. So, this is your last question.
Okay.
When all is said and done, not just wins and championships, but the whole journey, what do you hope your daughter carries forward from her life in baseball?
Well, I mean, the life in baseball, though, I would combine it because it's been such a integral part of our life because we spend so much time together. But I think really, to me, that's part of it, but how important our family time has always been. And so for me, sure, it's important. I mean, for example, I remember, and you can go through so many different things. I'm looking at a picture right there where Family Day right now that's up there when we were at the Tigers, and you were all dressed in Tiger gear, and Mom and I were there with you.
Yeah.
But we had so many and how much that meant when we won a world championship in 2018. We were with the Red Sox, and we won it in LA. I remember that Landon was he really had to go back.
Yeah.
To Wake Forest, and it was hard for you to be gone at that time too. But, and of course, Mom was there with us because she was there during. But how much more it meant to me to have my whole family there.
Yeah.
And so it's part of your life, a very important part of your life, the hours that we spend together, all of that. But you talked about our time at Disney, but I mean, one of the most cherished times that when you talk about family and baseball was, and this was really Mom's doing, we were so fortunate to be able to bring you two to spring training. We were there 15 springs, and until you got older, the first 10, 11 of them was with the family there.
Yeah.
So it was always an extra strides made by Mom calling up the schools, getting the homework, going and driving you to the tutor's place. But it just meant so much more that everybody was there. So to me, that's where I think the real tie is to baseball, but even more so from the family perspective.
But I think that's it.
Okay.
All righty.
Great.